This week I worked on sections 1.3 and sections 1.4 of the book. In this particular case, I really enjoyed these problems, and so there were a few problems that I did not attempt. 2 because they were easy, and 2 because they looked a little too hard, or 3 or 4. But really, it's not like the first sections where there are a few problems that I thought were a little too hard right now. And so, yeah, that's what I did. And of course, for the pace, I'm going to start counting how many problems I do. I did 60 in the last week's batch, and then I did 86 for this one, so the total is 146. Of course, I've set up a way to add them, and so this is the second week of 31 weeks. All right, so I'll show the book briefly. The sections, of course, that I'm talking about. And so section 1.3 is matrices. Just the whole business of multiplying them, adding them, multiplying by a scalar multiple, and then breaking them up also. The so-called row column. What is it called? Row column something. Transposes. Traces. So yeah, those were those problems. And then now we're getting into some theorems. Finally, I want to do some theorems too, but I'm going to stick to this book. Even though I have other books, I'm just going to stick to this book, unlike previous cases where I've gone all over the place. And so only one of these is shown a proof for. I use that as a template. Then some examples of how things can be non-commutative, how they can be associative, how they cannot be associative, where they have an inverse or not, how you add to get 0, multiply to get 0, how square matrices can be invertible. This is how they can be commutative. Also, yeah, that's it. Not commutative, but invertible. Yeah, confusing terms here. Yeah, so of course it's the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix, because the cofactors are very simple. You just take 1, 1, and 2, 2 and flip them and give negative signs to the off diagonals. So it's if it's 6, 1, 5, 2, then you put the 2 where the 6 is, the 6 where the 2 is, and give a 5, -5, and 1, -1. That's it. Then how to operate on equations. By multiplying by an inverse on the left side. Very neat. Yeah. Then exponents, either as of the inverse or the matrix itself, and turning them into polynomials. Right here. The transpose. Yeah. The inverse of the transpose. So yeah, a lot of fun with these problems. And I'll show what I did. Now, of course, linear algebra is a lot bulkier than analysis. And so it's just pages and pages because, of course, the matrices, the equations, they just occupy a lot of space. And so, for instance, for this wonderful problem set, of which there's only about 2 weeks worth of work, I have gotten to page 86, right? And so there was sections 1.1 and 1.2, that was 44 pages, and then 42 pages to get to sections 1.3 and 1.4. So I'll just briefly show my notebook. As usual, I think it's going to be a theme that towards the end of the section, there'll be a problem or two that I screw up, and every now and then I'll make a small arithmetic mistake somewhere, but other than that, when I check the odd number problems, I get them all right. Except for a random one. Yeah, a random one. Breaking them out. Yeah, I screwed up 2 right here. So it does happen. And then I'll look in the book and I'll see that the answer is a little different for some of the later problems. And I'll just write my note. I'm going to come back to it at some point. Otherwise, pretty steady. Yeah, pretty steady. This one, surprisingly close. When I did it, I was like, I don't know, is this what you're asking for? And when I looked, there it was. I was very close. So that was very nice. And very doesn't really mean much, except it's colloquial language, but I use it a lot. Sorry about that. True, false. I screw up a couple. I'll go back to them. But then I got a good bunch here. Did not get this one. Yep. Just a lot more check marks for the simpler problems in the beginning of section 1.4. And yeah, just check marks all around. Then, of course, I think this proof is correct. Seemed correct when I did it. But then when I read in the manual, the little handout, the little exercise booklet, they put in a lot more effort. So I'm going to revisit and say, okay, what's involved in more effort for this problem? Yeah, and part B as well. I thought that I had done it correctly, but actually, no, this was the move on. So part B for sure, I'm going to have to go back and check it out. And this one, I forgot that it was the inverse. The B was an inverse. It's all about multiplying by inverses from both sides until you get to the matrix that they ask you about. So they're asking about, yeah, they're asking about, yeah, D. They're asking about D, right? Are they asking about D in here? I forget. But either way, yeah, I was off for that one. But then I got, yeah, that's it. I'll move on. Right. More check marks, things that I got right. And I got this one right. Oh, actually, I don't even know because some of the later problems, even with the other ones, are not in the booklet. Then the proofs. And then the true and false, I screwed up too. So that is sections 1.3 and 1.4.